never thought my own brother would be the one to destroy me. For 10 long years, I saved every dollar I could, cutting corners, skipping nights out, working endless shifts, while others my age lived carefree lives. Every coin was a piece of my dream. And then, in one single moment, I found out it was all gone. My brother had taken everything, $9 million, my entire future. He didn't just take money, he stole my hope, my trust, my life. When I first confronted him, he looked straight into my eyes and said he never touched my savings. I remember my hands shaking as I demanded an explanation. He smirked and told me I was overreacting, that maybe I misplaced the funds or forgot where I had invested them. My own brother told my mother that I was being dramatic, that I always created problems where there were none, and my mother believed him. My father stayed silent. My relatives looked at me as if I was crazy. I was screaming inside, but nobody heard me. I felt like I was drowning in a room full of people who pretended not to notice. My uncle even said that my brother was a good man who would never do such a thing, that maybe I should stop chasing fantasies and let go of the money because family was more important. Family. Was it family to stab me in the back and leave me bleeding? Was it family to protect the thief while shamming the victim? I started to realize that I was completely alone. Alone against all of them. But I couldn't give up. Not after 10 years of sacrifice. I stayed awake night after night, replaying every detail in my mind, trying to piece together how he did it, where the money went, and how I could get it back. And the more I dug, the more lies I uncovered. He hadn't just taken the money. He had spent it recklessly. Luxury cars, private parties, expensive vacations. While I was working 2 jobs and living off instant noodles, he was living my dream. And the worst part, everyone around me knew. They saw the cars, the clothes, the sudden wealth. They chose to look away. They chose to cover for him. When I asked my cousin why nobody said anything, she looked at me with pity and said that maybe my brother deserved the money more because he was older, because he was a man, because he had responsibilities I didn't have. That was the moment I realized the truth. It wasn't just him who betrayed me. It was all of them. My entire family had decided that my dream was worthless compared to his comfort. They had erased me, as if my sacrifices meant nothing. I wanted to scream, but instead I smiled. I smiled because in that moment I understood something powerful. They thought I was weak. They thought I would crumble, cry, and disappear. But they didn't know me. They didn't know the fire burning inside me. They didn't know that betrayal doesn't break me, it fuels me. So I made a decision. If they wanted war, I would give them war. And I promised myself that my brother would regret ever touching what was mine. I began to plan in silence. I didn't argue anymore. I didn't beg anyone to believe me. I nodded, I pretended to forgive. I played the role of the broken little sister who accepted her fate. But behind that mask, I was gathering every piece of information I could. Bank statements, old messages, photos of his parties, receipts he forgot to hide. I collected it all, one by one, like weapons. And the day came when I had enough to burn him down. I leaked everything, to his job, to his friends, to everyone who once admired him. I told the truth that he had stolen from his own sister, that he was living a life built on betrayal. I exposed the receipts of his reckless spending, the proof of his lies. At first, nobody wanted to believe me, but the evidence was undeniable. And slowly, people began to turn. His friends stopped calling. His coworkers whispered behind his back. The image he had built of a successful man crumbled before him. And I watched. Oh, I watched with a smile as the walls he had built with my money collapsed on top of him. But that was just the beginning. He tried to fight back, to accuse me of being bitter, of lying, of wanting attention. But the more he screamed, the more desperate he looked. And I stayed calm like the storm before the thunder, because I knew what was coming. I knew the final blow would destroy him completely. I waited until the perfect moment, until he had nothing left to hold on to, and then I revealed the last piece of evidence. Proof that he forged my signature, proof that he stole directly from my accounts. That was the end. The family that once defended him now stared at him in silence. Even my mother couldn't deny it anymore. And me, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I stood tall, looking into his eyes, and I said the only words I wanted him to hear. I told him that he stole my dream, but in doing so, he gave me something far more powerful. He gave me revenge. And revenge was worth more than every dollar he took from me. I never imagined that the people I trusted most would turn me into their enemy. I thought blood meant loyalty. I thought family meant protection. But I was wrong. So terribly wrong. What happened to me changed the way I see the world forever. And it all began the day I discovered that my brother had stolen my entire future. I was 20 years old, still young, but already carrying the weight of years of sacrifice. For a whole decade, while others my age laughed, traveled, and wasted time, I was working. Long nights, endless shifts, saving every penny I could. I skipped new clothes. I skipped parties. I skipped the life every teenager dreamed of. Why? Because I had a dream of my own. $9 million. That was what I had managed to build. Not from luck, not from inheritance, but from sweat, from sleepless nights, from my own determination. $9 million meant freedom. It meant the chance to create the life I always wanted. But one morning, when I checked my account, it was all gone. Every cent disappeared. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I called the bank. I checked the statements again and again. And then I saw his name. My brother's name. He had taken everything. The blood drained from my face. My heart pounded so loudly it drowned out every other sound. My own brother had destroyed me. When I ran to him demanding answers, he looked at me with that cold, arrogant smirk and said I was imagining things. He said he didn't take anything. He even laughed and asked me if I was feeling okay, because I sounded crazy. And when my mother entered the room, he turned to her and calmly said that I was accusing him of things he never did, that I was paranoid, and maybe I needed help. My mother looked at me with disappointment instead of anger toward him. She told me to stop causing drama, to stop embarrassing the family. My father didn't say a word. I felt the ground breaking beneath my feet. My own parents believed him over me. My brother stole $9 million, and somehow I became the villain in their story. He even told my relatives that I was unstable, that I invented this fantasy to ruin his reputation. And the worst part, they believed him. They actually believed him. Days turned into weeks, and I lived like a ghost in my own home. Every time I entered a room, the whispers stopped. My uncle told me I should be ashamed for accusing my brother, that money could always be earned again, but family could not be replaced. My aunt said maybe my brother needed the money more, that I was young and would have time to rebuild. As if my decade of sacrifice meant nothing. As if my dream had no value. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I wanted to fight, but my hands trembled with rage and helplessness. I began to hate the mirror because the girl staring back looked broken, defeated. But deep inside me, a fire began to burn. The more they dismissed me, the stronger that fire grew. They thought I was powerless, but they didn't realize that betrayal doesn't kill me, it sharpens me. I started to watch him closely. He walked around with new clothes, a new car, expensive watches on his wrist. He traveled, he partied, he smiled for photos with friends. He flaunted my dream like it was his achievement. I remember hearing him tell my cousin that I was pathetic, that I would never succeed without him. My cousin laughed with him. That laugh echoed in my head for nights. That was the moment I made a vow. If he wanted to play the role of the hero, I would rewrite the story. If he wanted to live my dream, I would turn it into his nightmare. I would make him regret every single cent he stole from me. So I started my silent war. I stopped fighting openly. I stopped defending myself. I let them all believe I had given up. I smiled, I nodded, I stayed quiet. They thought I was broken. But in the shadows, I collected evidence. Every receipt, every bank transfer, every message that hinted at his theft. I built my case slowly, piece by piece, like a puzzle that would eventually reveal his true face. It wasn't easy. There were nights I wanted to collapse, nights I cried until I couldn't breathe. But I reminded myself, pain is temporary, revenge is forever. I wasn't just fighting for money. I was fighting for myself, for my dignity, for every sleepless night that he erased with a single selfish act. Months passed, and I finally had enough. The moment came when I stood in front of my family and laid everything out. I showed them the proof. Transfers from my account directly into his. Photos of him spending it all. Messages where he bragged to his friends. At first, they resisted, trying to twist the truth. But the more I revealed, the harder it was to deny. Their silence grew heavier with every page I exposed. My brother's mask cracked. His calm arrogance turned into anger. He shouted that I was trying to ruin him, that I was jealous of his success. My mother tried to defend him, but even she couldn't argue with the evidence in front of her. I will never forget the look on her face when she realized that I was right all along. And in that moment, I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I simply looked at him and said that he stole my money, but he could never steal my strength. Because the moment he betrayed me, he created someone far more dangerous than he ever expected. He created me, the version of me that doesn't forgive, that doesn't forget, that will make sure he loses everything. And he did. Slowly, painfully, he lost it all. His friends disappeared, his reputation shattered, his so-called success turned into ashes. I didn't have to destroy him completely. The truth did it for me. And when I finally walked away, I realized something. Yes, he stole $9 million. Yes, he stole my dream. But in the end, he gave me something worth far more. He gave me revenge. And revenge will always be priceless. I never thought my life would become a battlefield against the very people who were supposed to protect me. Family is supposed to mean love, safety, and trust. That's what I grew up believing. But the day my brother stole everything from me, I learned that family can also mean betrayal, lies, and destruction. If you've ever felt your chest shatter because someone close to you stabbed you in the back, then you'll understand what I'm about to tell you. It all started when I was just 20 years old. I wasn't like most people my age. While others spent their nights in clubs, buying new shoes, or wasting money on temporary pleasures, I was working. Sometimes 2 jobs, sometimes 3. I studied during the day. I worked late at night. I kept telling myself, one day this will pay off. One day I'll be free. And for 10 long years, I didn't let myself slip. Every cent I earned, I saved. No vacations, no luxury, no careless spending. Just discipline. By the time I turned 20, my sacrifice had grown into something huge. $9 million. That was my treasure, my key to a future I had built with my own hands. It was more than money. It was proof that I had turned my pain into power, that my sleepless nights had a purpose. I thought I was finally safe. But safety is an illusion when the people closest to you are already sharpening the knife. The morning it all vanished is burned into my memory forever. I opened my banking app, expecting to see the number that made me feel alive. But instead, I saw zeros. Empty. Gone. I thought I was hallucinating. I refreshed the page over and over until my hands shook. And then I saw the transfers. The name attached to them. My brother's name. My stomach dropped as if someone had pushed me off a cliff. My whole body went cold. My own brother had gutted me like prey. I ran to him, screaming, asking how he could do this. He looked at me with a face so calm, so smug, it made me sick. He said I was imagining things. He said maybe I had made a mistake. He even had the audacity to laugh. When our mother came into the room, I thought she would see the truth in my eyes. Instead, she listened to him. He turned to her, his voice soft, pretending to be wounded, and told her that I was accusing him of things he never did. He told her I was paranoid. He told her maybe I needed help. And my mother looked at me as if I had become a stranger. She told me to stop causing drama. My father didn't defend me either. He just sat there in silence, letting the weight of their disbelief crush me. Do you know what it feels like to scream the truth into a room where everyone treats you like a liar? It's like drowning while everyone watches from the shore. And instead of saving you, they tell you to stop struggling. Days passed, then weeks. My brother walked around like nothing had happened. He bought new clothes. He drove a brand new car. He showed off luxury watches, dinners, parties, and he used my money to do it. My money. I watched him spend my years of sacrifice in the blink of an eye. And the people around me, they applauded him. They called him successful. They told me I was jealous. My own uncle told me family matters more than money, that I should forgive and move on. My aunt said maybe my brother needed the money more. They excused him. They blamed me. I was shattered. Every whisper behind my back was a dagger. Every fake smile to my face was poison. I would lie in bed at night, my eyes burning with tears, whispering to myself that maybe they were right, maybe I was weak. But deep down, another voice whispered louder. That voice said, they betrayed you, but they underestimated you. So I began to watch. I studied him. His patterns, his arrogance, his mistakes. He wasn't careful. He bragged. He boasted to friends that I was too soft to ever fight back. I overheard him one night, laughing with a cousin, saying I was pathetic and that my money was better in his hands. My cousin laughed with him. That sound was carved into my memory. I stopped confronting him. I stopped fighting openly. Instead, I smiled. I stayed quiet. I played the part of the broken sister who had given up. He believed it. They all believed it. But inside, I was building something much stronger than anger. I was building revenge. I collected evidence in silence. Every bank transfer, every photo of his new possessions, every message where he boasted. I built my case carefully, brick by brick. I knew one day I would strike, and when I did, there would be no escape. It took months of pretending to be invisible, months of swallowing my rage, of forcing myself not to scream. But patience is the sharpest weapon, and mine was ready. The day came when I gathered my family together. My hands were steady, my voice calm, and I laid everything on the table. The bank statements with his name, the receipts for every luxury he bought, the screenshots of his conversations. With each piece of evidence, I watched their faces change. First disbelief, then confusion, then shame. My brother exploded in anger. He shouted that I was trying to ruin him. He said I was jealous. He tried to twist the story, but the evidence was undeniable. My mother tried to defend him, but her voice cracked. She looked at me, and for the first time in months, I saw recognition in her eyes. Recognition that I had been right all along. Do you know what I felt in that moment? Not triumph, not relief, just a cold clarity. Because I realized something. I didn't need them to believe me anymore. I didn't need their approval, their support, their validation. They had already betrayed me. And betrayal doesn't heal. It scars. But for my brother, the scars were just beginning. Slowly, his lies unraveled. Friends who once laughed with him disappeared. Relatives who once defended him turned their backs. His reputation crumbled. He lost deals, opportunities, connections. And every time he fell, I was there to watch, not to help, not to comfort, just to witness his empire, built on my blood, turn to dust. One night, he came to me. His voice wasn't arrogant anymore. It was desperate. He said he was sorry. He said he never meant to hurt me. He said we were family. But I looked him straight in the eyes and told him the truth. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't destroy each other. Family doesn't make you the villain in your own story. He wasn't my brother anymore. He was just a stranger who had taught me the price of trust. I walked away that night, and for the first time, I felt free. Not because I got my money back, because I didn't. He had already wasted it. I felt free because I had taken back my power. He thought he stole my future, but in reality, he gave me something greater. He gave me the strength to rise, the fire to fight, the clarity to see who truly stood beside me. And most of all, he gave me revenge. And revenge, I promise you, is worth far more than $9 million. I want you to imagine building your entire life on a single dream. Every sacrifice, every choice, every sleepless night, everything you endure is for that one vision of freedom. For 10 years, that was me. I denied myself the luxuries people my age couldn't live without. No parties, no reckless spending, no impulsive adventures. I worked while others slept, saved while others wasted, and dreamed while others laughed at me for being too serious. I told myself, one day all of this will be worth it. One day I will look back at my sacrifices and smile because I'll finally be free. And for a long time, I believed that. I believed my future was safe in my hands. But I was wrong, because the person who destroyed everything wasn't a stranger. It was my own brother. I still remember the day I realized what he had done. I woke up early, excited for the first time in months, because I had planned to finally invest a part of my savings into something meaningful. I opened my banking app, expecting to see the number that always reminded me my sacrifices were real. But instead of millions staring back at me, I saw emptiness. Zero. A cold, lifeless zero. My stomach dropped so hard I couldn't breathe. I thought there had to be a mistake. I refreshed again and again until my fingers hurt from tapping the screen. And then I saw it, the transfers. Line after line. The same name attached to all of them. My brother's name. In that moment, I felt my entire body collapse from the inside. It wasn't just money. It was 10 years of my life. 10 years of youth traded for survival, for discipline, for the promise of tomorrow. And he had ripped it away in a matter of days. I stormed to him, shaking, screaming his name, demanding to know why. He looked me in the eyes and said I was imagining things. He had the audacity to smirk, as if I was some kind of fool who didn't know how to count. When I said I had proof, he laughed and told me maybe I had made a mistake. And then, as if twisting the knife, he called for our mother. I thought she would believe me. I thought she would see my tears and hear the truth in my voice. But she listened to him. He told her that I was paranoid, that I was accusing him because I was jealous, that I was unstable. And my mother, my own mother, looked at me as though I was the liar. She told me to stop causing drama, told me to respect my brother. My father said nothing. He sat in silence, as if I wasn't even worth defending. In that moment, I realized something I never wanted to believe. Blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. Sometimes family is the first enemy you ever face. From that day forward, my life became a living hell. My brother flaunted his new wealth like a trophy. He drove past me in a car he bought with my money. He wore designer clothes, watches, shoes, things I had denied myself for years, while laughing with his friends about how clever he was. He even told people that I had given him the money, that I trusted him with it. And people believed him. My relatives whispered behind my back. My uncle told me I should let it go, that money comes and goes, but family is forever. My aunt said maybe my brother needed it more than I did. Friends who once admired my discipline now mocked me for being dramatic. It felt like the entire world had joined him in laughing at me. At night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, asking myself if I was really going insane. Was I wrong to care? Was I weak for not forgiving? But every time those doubts crept in, another voice rose louder inside me. That voice told me the truth. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't wrong. I had been betrayed. And betrayal is something you don't forgive. You survive it, you rise from it, and eventually you make them regret it. So I stopped fighting openly. I stopped screaming, stopped arguing, stopped begging anyone to believe me. Instead, I became silent. I pretended to give up. I let him think I was broken, because broken people don't fight back. And he believed it. They all believed it. But while I played the part of the defeated sister, I was watching. I was planning. I was collecting. Every transaction, every photo of his new possessions, every careless message where he bragged to his friends, I saved it all. I built my case like a weapon, sharp and undeniable. For months, I lived a double life. On the surface, I was quiet, detached, invisible. But underneath, I was a storm waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That moment came sooner than he expected. One evening, I called the family together. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't crack. I looked each of them in the eye and laid everything out. The bank statements with his name, the receipts tied directly to my savings, screenshots of his conversations where he admitted everything. With every piece of evidence, I watched their faces change. My mother's lips trembled. My father's silence broke into a frown. Even my cousins who had laughed with him looked away. And my brother, he exploded in anger. He shouted that I was trying to ruin him, that I was jealous, that none of it was true. He called me a liar again and again, but the evidence spoke louder than his words. In that moment, I saw fear in his eyes for the first time. He realized he couldn't escape. And I realized something too. I didn't need their belief anymore. I didn't need their validation, because I already knew the truth. I had always known the truth. From that day forward, his world began to collapse. Friends who once admired him disappeared when they realized he was nothing more than a thief. Family who once defended him now turned their backs. His reputation crumbled, his opportunities dried up, and the empire he built on my blood dissolved into dust. And I was there for every moment, not to help, not to forgive, just to witness. One night he came to me. His arrogance was gone. His voice was soft, desperate, broken. He said he was sorry. He said he didn't mean to hurt me. He said we were family. But I looked him in the eyes and told him the truth he could never erase. Family doesn't steal from family. Family doesn't destroy each other. Family doesn't make you the villain in your own story. He wasn't my brother anymore. He was just the shadow of a man who had taught me the most painful lesson of my life. I walked away that night with nothing but scars. I never got my money back. The $9 million was gone forever, wasted on empty luxuries and shallow pleasures. But what I gained was worth more than any amount of money. I gained clarity. I gained strength. I gained the fire that comes only from being broken and choosing to rise again. And most of all, I gained revenge. Because revenge isn't about money. It isn't about proving them wrong. It's about taking back your power, showing them that they can never destroy you. My brother thought he stole my future, but he only gave me something greater. He gave me the weapon of survival. He gave me the heart of steel. He gave me a story no one will ever forget. And as I tell it now, I hope he hears every word. Because this is my truth. This is my survival. This is my revenge.